Hey guys, it's Merrick, and I've got another gameplay commentary for you today. This one is yet again on Planetside 2, this time on VS with the Beetlejuice. However, yet again, due to a feat of impressive stupidity on my part, there is no in-game audio. You might have already noticed the background music starting to roll in, but that's going to be consistent throughout the game while I still commentate over the game. I just, like I said, fucked up. We don't have in-game audio, but the session is too good, considering how hard it is to get good sessions nowadays with the game's low population, to pass up. So, in this one, we're running the Beetlejuice with everything standard on it. The laser sight for the hipfire, high velocity because I put that shit on everything that can take it, underboss because it's got a faster draw time than the Commissioner, but it doesn't have the far-reaching one-shot potential like the Commissioner does on infiltrators. I'm also running the Decimator and then the standard suit and implant setup with flak armor and survivalist. This session starts off at Steel Shore Reconstruction, where I just run out of Sunder and try to push up the point. But I realize that the point is overrun and there's a whole lot of pressure, so I instead try to hang back and pick off people where I can find them. I go around the side trying to get a different angle on those guys pushing in, and I almost get taken out by a light assault. I back up, heal, and then try to push up yet again to get some pressure on these guys, but I see that there's too many of them and they're already pushing, so I back up just in time to immediately fall over as they get around the edge. Respawning at the Sunder, I get there just in time to see how fucked we are before I try to figure out some place to get some kind of kills before this inevitably goes terrible. I'm able to deny a light assault if he jumps in, and then I move to a different angle and catch a handful of blue as they are trying to push through the choke here. However, while I'm doing that, Sunder explodes and they push into the other side. So I go on to somewhere else, which takes me to Echo Valley. So I run out of spawn, run directly towards the point, take a quick peek onto the side of the staircase, be able to pick one up. I feel like I would have gotten the second one, but between the screen shake and the smoke from that nade, I wind up missing out. But by the time I get ready to push back in, they've already collapsed from the other side, and the point is mostly ended. I managed to get into point, almost died to some swordsmen, managed to take him out, and then I have to head elsewhere because there's no fight left, which takes me to Aurora Materials Labs. I'm ready to push in and go towards point, but somebody in front of me immediately dies. Take a quick shoulder peek to see what he died to, realize it's a terrible decision to go in from that angle, so I run around to the other side to get a wider angle where I can try to pick people off a bit more. It goes absolutely perfectly until I get way too greedy, overpeak, realize I overpeaked, and then still try to take the fight because I'm a fucking idiot. I run it back, taking up a position on door 2 again, but as I'm trying to do that, purple collapses through door 1, so I try to push up alongside to get a better angle. I have to take a few attempts at this railing boss before I finally get onto a decent position. And as I'm finally getting to where I can get some shots in there, a resonate goes off, so I quickly clean up some of these zombies before trying to get back into a decent angle. I don't see anybody in the corner of the room, so I go to the other door of 50s and I try to take a look at these two Dubs doors. I don't really see anything until I try to look across toward Banana, see some people coming out of the doorway there, so I take a few shots, get a few of them, and as we push in here, I try to get a wider angle, thinking I'm going to be cute, and then a Max walks up the staircase, and, well, he's followed by a second one. So everybody that was there to hold that position just kind of falls over, and I also die for free. Running it back, I try to be cute, and throw an anti-vehicle nade to stop the Max push, followed by a rocket. The rocket is completely on time. The anti-vehicle nade, I guess, went too far because it didn't actually hit anything. Maybe it was just too far to actually deal full damage to a Max. But I rotate around the server to keep Maxes on the other side, kill a few infantry as they're running in, and get taken out by a scout rifle from long range. I try to push up yet again, and it's just fucking nade spam. So I just sit here, watch the nades go off, and have to keep taking very short peeks between the fact that there's a ton of angry nerds inside, and every 3 seconds there's another wave of grenades. I might have been playing a little too safe here because I was committing so lightly, I would jump in, take a few shots, jump out. I wasn't actually getting kills, wasn't really putting out enough pressure to keep people from pushing up, and eventually they do push up. I get taken out by a stray explosive, and I push up yet again, trying to work these angles as best I can. Eventually, I get kind of tired of trying to push this right side, so I cross over to the other doorway and try to fight there. There's enough pressure on the first door that I make the cross successfully. I fail to pick this guy up, and I get a little off-put by this resonate before I realize it's on my team. But once I'm on this side, I'm able to take slightly longer peeks without feeling too bad about it. I get interrupted by some allies running through, and then realizing that there's finally pressure coming out again, there's another wave of 63 nades coming through the door that I have to wait out. As I'm sheltering from this artillery strike that's being landed in my position, I'm not exactly prepared for it, and I don't catch the first two that run out. I'm a little caught off guard, and somebody swims with a shotgun, so I just get one-tapped. I wind up heading on to the next fight, which takes me to Elli Tower. And before I can get a real good grasp of the situation, I drop in, see that it's a clusterfuck, and as I'm rotating around the outside, I get hit by a tank shell and an ally at the same time and just fucking insta-die. I respawn, run back downstairs since I can actually now spawn in the hex, and I can't really see a whole lot of infantry anywhere, so I try to go back upstairs to see if I can make Torch Point. As soon as I go to do that, I see some guys running up the bottom of the staircase. There's a harasser to throw some shots into, and then I see a infiltrator jumping up and down on the side platform there. I almost lose track of him because he stood perfectly still, which makes him perfectly invisible, but I had a general idea of where he was. From there, I start to rotate around the tower because the situation's getting quite bad. I'm able to catch a light assault as he's leaving, and continue rotating around the tower because there's really nothing I can do to stop the point from being lost with all these vehicles around, so I'm just trying to find any infantry fight where I can. Thankfully, these infantry fights are coming to me, but it works out in the end. We're grossly overpopped, there's no way I'm getting to point, we can't even really hold the tower because we just have so little purple population here, so I just rotate around, pick up a few kills, and then try to go redeploy out. But I guess somebody had to have few spotted me because as I'm redeploying, I look over to chat, and at the very last second, somebody rolls around the corner and just fucking blasts me. From here, I move on to North Point Ruins, where I run around in a circle for a while trying to find the fight until we get Orbital Strike. From there, I immediately make a terrible decision and try to take a wide angle, and while I actually think I could have won this fight, I don't have the health or the shield to actually make this happen. By the time I get back up and run back up the stairs, there's a push that is manifested, but half this push is in between me and my chosen target, so I just wind up gassing out my gun and getting frustrated. I back down the stairs to reload, push back upstairs, continue to be unable to hit targets I want to hit, but I'm able to pick up a few more kills off of the zombies, and once we clear out this half of the room, I swing the other half of the room to make sure that it is clear before moving on. The split of population was still decent, so I headed outside, and I'm able to catch somebody as they're pushing up towards the building. There's a few more that drop down, but I'm unable to pick up those kills. They're still kind of trickling in, so I rotate around trying to pick them up and kind of successfully failing. But as I'm moving around, I get flanked, able to take that guy out, and that also seems to kind of signal the tipping point where they're no longer just trickling in. So I'm finally able to push up. We wind up following the trail of where there's just blue guys as I find them on this hill, and it leads us to their sunder, which is conveniently placed in the middle of fucking nowhere with absolutely no cover. I join the VS firing squad as we just murder the few guys that are trickling out of the sunder before it dies, and then I finally move on to the next fight. This brings me to Rhyme Analytics, where I push out of spawn towards the point room, expecting there to be pretty much only people on the point. I try to get some pickups through this window, but nobody's really peeking me, they're kind of just crossing by. So as I'm getting more frustrated about people not actually stopping to fight me, I begin to swing a little bit wider, away from cover, and eventually I actually just go outside to get an even wider angle and try to cut people off. But as I push up to try to really pressure this building, I see a shit ton of people in the Z building. So I drop down, trying to continue to find somewhere to put pressure on, but I notice there's people at the bottom of the Z shape as well. So I'm pushed back off the doorway, I have to back up to a wider angle, and I wind up being reduced to taking longer range fights, which is not necessarily a problem except for that I haven't played Planetside recently, so I'm washed and I miss a lot more shots than I really need to. I pick up one guy as he's crossing, and then I kind of just jump back and forth taking fights on different angles for a little while without a whole lot of success. Eventually I get tired of this guy in the fucking doorway though, I bait him into fighting me by shooting a few shots, and then predicting when he's going to peek out, I drop a decimator on his face. I've taken some shots at the guy in the Z shape, I've taken some shots at the guys that have actually pushed out and gotten on the top of the stairs, but I don't actually feel like I can cross this open field towards them even though there's now a smoke down. So I make an alternative play and I decide to flank around the entire building and try to get a different approach from there. As I'm flanking, I see somebody getting murdered, so I try to figure out where it's from. I thought it was from my side there on the south, but it wasn't, so I know he has to be on the east side of the building here. I swing the corner as he's looking somewhere else and I get a free pickup. I almost die to some dude clipping through the ground as he comes out of a drop pod, but I make it to the Z shape, swing on this guy down here, take him out, and then I have access to the building, which gets me a really, really nice flank on the guys upstairs. I thought they were inside the Z shape, so I jumped behind the server, but it seems like they're all outside behind the building. Still gives me a absolutely perfect angle. I accidentally murder that dude that was jumping by as I'm trying to kill this guy in a ledge, but when he can't take me out, I still am able to harass and annoy these guys out there. An engineer that got tired of his sentry turret shooting at me does manage to turn on and fight me. I push down to the bottom of the Z shape because I saw a few dots there, not paying attention to my health, and I overextend and die for absolutely free. gotta start wrapping this video up, and we end with 58 kills in 23 minutes. Planetside has been suffering from a lower pop problem recently, so it's been a little bit harder to get recordings, which is why, despite that I fucked up this one and ruined the audio, that I decided I had to use it. I think a lot of my issues in this one were just a little bit of lack of experience, so my shooting is sloppy, my moving is a little sloppy, but most of it was being out of position, not being aggressive enough to get the kills, or being too passive to not put enough pressure on, and having a lot of reduced efficiency in the mid and longer ranges just because my muscle memory is currently set to other games due to lack of time on Planetside 2. I'm sure there's a lot more that I made mistakes on that you would be aware of if you watched some of my other videos, but as always, let me know what you do like, let me know what you don't like, let me know what you think so I can improve my videos moving forward. Thank you guys for your continued support, and I'll see you next time.